Trump walked in thinking he could out-talk Obama on live TV, but by the third question he realized he'd stepped into a master class in calm destruction. The air that night felt electric, not from weather, but from a man holding a microphone. Donald Trump had just done what no one thought he'd dare, challenge Barack Obama to a live, unfiltered debate. No teleprompters. No screened questions. Just two men, face to face, with the entire nation watching. That it happened at a rally in Tampa, Florida. Cameras caught every second. Trump stood at the podium, waving a sheet of paper and grinning like he'd already won. "Let's see if Obama can handle a real debate," he shouted. No scripts, no handlers, just me and him, man to man. The crowd erupted. Phones flew into the air. Clips hit Twitter, TikTok, and every political feed within minutes. Networks scrambled to confirm whether the challenge was genuine. This time, Trump wasn't teasing. He meant every word. By midnight, Trump versus Obama live was trending across the globe. Pundits argued all night. Some claimed Obama would ignore it. What did he have to prove? Others insisted he'd accept, just to shut Trump down once and for all. Then the next morning, Barack Obama posted a 12-word tweet that changed everything. "If the American people want clarity, I'm happy to provide it." No emojis. No flair. Just steady confidence. Cable channels broke into regular programming to announce it. By noon, teams from both sides were negotiating logistics. The White House Correspondents Association offered to host it at the Walter E. Washington Convention Center. Every major network would air it live, with streams running across every social platform simultaneously, within 48 hours. America wasn't divided by party, it was divided by curiosity. Some were eager to watch Trump dominate without a filter, others waited quietly for Obama's precision to slice through the noise. Behind the scenes, the two camps moved fast. Trump's team obsessed over visuals, lighting, staging, camera angles that made him look larger than life. His social media manager pumped out graphics crowning him the fearless challenger. One post read, "They said he was untouchable. I say he's just untested." Obama's team stayed silent. No hype. No theatrics. He met privately with a few trusted advisors in Georgetown. No consultants. No handlers. Just briefing notes and a long legal pad covered in Obama's handwriting. "This isn't about performance," he said. "It's about truth and discipline." The media devoured every detail. For a week, networks ran countdown clocks and prediction panels. Memes flooded timelines. Mock posters went viral. Ticket demand shattered records. Journalists, politicians, influencers, and celebrities all fought to get inside. But underneath the spectacle, something unexpected happened. People started talking about leadership again, not parties. Not slogans, but which man made them feel safer, the one who shouted, or the one who listened. On debate morning, Washington felt tense and electric. The streets around the convention center were sealed off. Secret Service blended into the crowd. News vans lined the blocks. Protesters waved signs on both sides. Everyone shared the same feeling, anticipation. In his green room, Trump was surrounded by advisors, stylists, cameras. He rehearsed comebacks as he paced. "I'm going to crush him," he said loudly. "He won't know what hit him." A few rooms away, Obama sat alone with tea and a stack of handwritten notes. He wasn't rehearsing, he was thinking. Watching a muted TV showing aerial shots of the swelling crowd, he smiled faintly. "You can't control the noise," he murmured. "But you can control your response to it." When a production assistant knocked to say they were ready, he stood, buttoned his jacket, and whispered something no one else heard. From opposite sides of the building, the two men walked toward the stage. The lights dimmed. The crowd roared. No moderators. No teleprompters. Just Trump and Obama stepping into a moment. Neither could walk back, but no one, not the advisors, not the audience, not even Trump, could predict how quickly confidence would spiral into chaos. The world hadn't seen anticipation like this in years. Every screen in barbershops, cafes, airports, and living rooms flickered with countdowns. Networks treated it like the Super Bowl of politics. Analysts replayed old clips, comparing their tone, body language, word choice, like fighters before a title match. And while the spectacle grew louder, something deeper unfolded. Two very different preparations. One built on spectacle. One built on substance. Trump's headquarters looked like a production set. bright lights, stacks of cue cards, TV screens looping his best rally moments. His campaign manager, Victor Haynes, paced with a tablet. "We go big," he told the team. "Confidence is the message. Volume is victory." Trump nodded, only half paying attention as he tugged at his red tie. "Victor, the people don't care about facts," he said. "They care about energy. I'll make him look slow, weak, out of touch." His advisors laughed a little too quickly, the kind of laugh meant to avoid conflict. No one risked disagreeing. Every prep session ended the same way, Trump practicing zingers, not arguments that he wasn't preparing to persuade, he was preparing to overpower. Across town, Obama's preparation could not have been more opposite. He met with a small circle of trusted aides in a simple townhouse near DuPont Circle. No cameras. No leaks. Just quiet concentration. A whiteboard crowded with data stood in the corner, and across the top one line was written, "When they go low, you go steady." Lydia Brooks, his lead researcher, glanced up from her notes. "He's going to try to bait you," she warned. "Interrupt, exaggerate, maybe even take a shot at your family." He wants the reaction, not the reasoning. Obama leaned back, fingers steepled. "That's okay," he said. "Because I'm not debating for him. I'm debating for the people watching at home who are exhausted by all the shouting." He had that professor-like calm, the kind that irritated critics and soothed supporters, every word deliberate. Every silence intentional, but even his team could feel it. The stakes were higher than anyone was saying out loud. By Thursday, polls predicted a record-breaking audience. Streaming platforms prep for overload. Celebrities declared their loyalties online. Late-night shows staged parody debates. Even people who claimed to hate politics made plans to tune in just to see. Backstage logistics turned into a turf war. Trump's team demanded a bigger podium, harsher lighting, tighter camera angles. Obama's team didn't push back. "If he wants the spotlight," Obama said, "let him have it. I'll take the silence." During tech rehearsals, a producer told him, "You don't seem nervous." Obama gave a small smile. "Nerves are for people trying to control the room," he said. "I'm just here to tell the truth." Even the stage crew whispered about how calm he was, how he barely spoke, how he moved like a surgeon preparing for delicate work. By Friday night, Washington felt like it was holding its breath. Thousands gathered outside the convention center hoping for a glimpse. Vendors sold shirts with round one, Trump versus Obama. Street performers mimicked the candidates. Inside, cameras whirred, lights burned, and reporters spilled into every corner. The whole building felt charged, not with anger, but expectation. Everyone sensed something was about to shift. The final rehearsal happened in near silence. 2 chairs. 2 microphones. 1 clock ticking down. Obama stood for a long moment, staring at the empty podium across from his. He said nothing, just exhaled. "People think strength is noise," he murmured, "but sometimes it's composure." Outside, Victor Haynes gave Trump his final pep talk. "Don't let him finish sentences. Keep him off balance. Make the audience see control." Trump smirked. "I am control," he said, straightening his tie. "Watch and learn." When the countdown hit 1 hour, news outlets went live worldwide. Helicopters buzzed over DC. Floodlights turned the streets into daylight. Inside, shuffling papers and mic checks echoed across the hall. Obama arrived first, slipping through the back corridor without spectacle. He shook a few hands, paused near the curtain, listening to the rising roar of the audience. He didn't look tense, he looked present. Trump arrived moments later, cameras glued to him. His entrance felt like a prizefighter. Walking into an arena, supporters waved flags. His trademark smirk didn't move an inch. 2 men. 2 worlds. 2 strategies converging on a single stage. Technicians gave their final checks. "We're rolling in 30 seconds, a producer whispered. The 2 men stood just feet apart, divided only by a curtain. They couldn't see each other yet, but they could hear the crowd. Cheers. Boos. Chants. History waiting on the other side. Obama closed his eyes for a moment and whispered, "Stay steady." Trump adjusted his cuffs and grinned. "Let's make TV gold." Then the lights blazed on, the microphones flicked live, and suddenly the stage wasn't about performance anymore. It was about truth. The Walter E. Washington Convention Center had never looked like this, not like a political event, but a showdown. Every seat was packed, from journalists in the front row to college students stacked in the balcony waving signs. networks flew in anchors from every time zone. The air buzzed so thick with tension the temperature seemed to rise. On stage, 2 podiums stood. Under bright white light. No moderators table. No barrier, just open space. Behind them, a massive American flag filled the screen. No slogans, no logos, just red, white, and blue. The introduction was brief, a calm voiceover, a sweep across the crowd, and then silence. No opening statements. No applause cues, just the sound of footsteps. Trump entered first, waving big, smiling even bigger. The crowd exploded, half cheers, half boos. He soaked it in, pointing into the stands, relishing the moment. At his podium, he paused and turned slightly. Obama entered a moment later. No theatrics. No flourish, just steady, grounded steps. He scanned the room once, acknowledging everyone and no one at the same time. The applause became softer, then steadier, almost respectful. He nodded toward Trump. Trump halfway extended a hand, then pulled it back before Obama reached him. The crowd noticed, the cameras noticed, and for a few seconds, the room fell into total silence, except for the low hum of the microphones. Obama stared across the stage, his expression unreadable. Trump leaned forward with a slight smirk. "Well, Barack, looks like you finally showed up." A few scattered laughs moved through the crowd. Obama didn't answer immediately. He adjusted his mic and said calmly, "I was invited." It wasn't the line, it was the tone, steady, precise, almost surgical. Trump blinked, then let out a laugh a little louder than necessary. "Let's make this fun. No scripts, right? Let's talk results." Obama nodded once. "That's what I'm here for." The first question appeared on the screen: "What defines effective leadership in America today?" Trump jumped in before the text even finished scrolling. "Leadership is strength," he boomed. "You've got to project it. You can't be afraid to offend people. Don't overthink. Act fast. Make deals. Win." Cheers erupted. He pointed toward Obama. "This guy talks. I actually do things. That's the difference." Obama listened quietly, hands resting on the podium. When Trump finished, Obama didn't rush. He took a slow breath. "Leadership," he said, "isn't about volume or speed. It's about judgment. Anyone can act fast. Real leaders pause long enough to understand what they're doing before they do it." The crowd murmured. Trump rolled his eyes. Classic Obama. Too many words, not enough action. Obama smiled faintly. "Words matter, Donald. They're how leaders tell the truth." A wave of applause grew through the room. Trump's smile thinned. He lifted a hand. "Let's not pretend 8 years of talking fixed this country." Obama leaned slightly forward. 8 years of thinking prevented a lot of mistakes. A flicker crossed Trump's face, irritation. Cameras zoomed in, Twitter exploded, clips circulated instantly. Obama 1, Trump 0. Next question: "What's the single most important quality of a president?" Trump answered instantly: "Confidence. Standing tall. Never backing down. People trust me because I don't apologize." Obama let the silence hang before answering. "Confidence is important," he said, "but humility keeps it honest. Without it, you stop learning, you start believing you're always right." The reaction was louder this time. Even the camera crews subtly shifted toward Obama's side. Trump tried to jab back. "Humility? You? With your speeches, your books, your Netflix deals?" Obama's eyes narrowed just slightly. "Donald, you're confusing visibility with vanity." A low "oh" rippled through the room. Trump laughed, strained. "You rehearsed that?" Obama shook his head. "I don't rehearse honesty." The silence that followed carried weight, not awkwardness, as if the room itself was listening. A journalist whispered from the press box, "This isn't a debate, it's a dissection." Backstage, Trump's campaign manager muttered, "He's making him look small." Online, hashtags were already trending, and the meltdown hadn't even started yet. Obama adjusted his tie and turned toward the crowd. "The truth is, no one wins when leadership becomes performance. People are exhausted. They want someone who listens, not someone who just shouts louder." Trump tried to interrupt, his mic crackled, mistimed. Obama continued, "Leadership is service. It's patience. It's knowing when to speak and when to listen, and it's being strong enough to admit when you're wrong." Applause thundered. The moderator's light blinked for quiet, but the crowd ignored it. Even a few people in red ties and MAGA hats clapped. Trump's jaw tightened. You can keep your speeches, Barack. People want action. Obama smiled. Actions speak for themselves. So do consequences. No one in that room knew how quickly those consequences were coming. The next question flashed on screen. The camera zoomed in. The energy shifted. Round one was over. And the audience knew this wasn't going to be the usual shouting match. The tension wasn't loud now that IT was focused, like the silence before a storm. The question read, how should America handle its growing divide? Political, social, and cultural. Trump leaned in first. You fix division with strength, he said. You can't unite people who don't respect this country. You remind them who's in charge. That's leadership. That's what I did. He stared defiantly at the audience. You can't have unity without control, and let's be real, Obama didn't control anything, not the border, not the economy, not even his own people. The room erupted, cheers on one side, boos on the other. When the noise finally died, Obama spoke softly, but somehow louder than Trump's shouting. You don't lead a nation by dividing the people you swore to serve. You don't fix fear by feeding it. He paused, and you can't talk about unity while deciding who deserves it. Trump laughed, waving him off. Typical. All talk. You had 8 years to fix it, and you left the country more divided than ever. Obama tilted his head. Maybe. Or maybe, we exposed what was already there. He let that hang in the air. You don't heal what you refuse to see. The audience fell silent again, so quiet even the camera operators froze. Trump shook his head. You see what I mean? He said to the crowd. It's all philosophy with this guy. No results, no action. Just pretty words for a Netflix special. Obama didn't blink. Words build worlds, Donald. Yours just happened to burn them down. The crowd erupted, half laughter, half stunned silence. Obama didn't push it. He just stood there, composed, unmoving, steady as stone. Trump flushed red. You act calm, but everybody knows what you're doing, he snapped. You're putting people to sleep. That's not leadership, that's weakness. Obama's smile barely shifted. If calm looks like weakness, maybe chaos has been mistaken for strength. A few reporters exchanged looks. One murmured, he's not trying to win sound bites, he's dismantling him one sentence at a time. Then came the next question on the screen. What do you believe is America's greatest threat? Trump jumped in instantly. Weakness, he said. We're losing our edge because of people who think too much and act too little. We need toughness. Leaders who don't apologize for being strong. Obama waited. He breathed in slowly, choosing his words. The greatest threat, he said quietly, is forgetting what we owe each other. The room hushed. We've started treating neighbors like enemies, he continued. We've turned disagreement into hatred. That isn't patriotism. That's decay. Trump smirked. That's cute, Barack. But you can't run a country on feelings. Obama met his eyes. No. But you can destroy one without empathy. The reaction was instant. The crowd exploded, cheers from corners that hadn't clapped all night. In the control room, producers exchanged pale looks. This wasn't the debate they'd prepared for. They expected interruptions, insults, maybe even a walk-off. Not this slow, methodical unraveling. Backstage, Trump's campaign manager muttered, he's getting buried, and he doesn't even see it. On stage, Trump shifted his weight, gripping the podium tighter as Obama's applause grew louder. Look. Trump barked, I've created jobs. Built success. Stood up to foreign leaders. What's he done? He talked. That's it. He talked. Obama's response was nearly a whisper, yet somehow sharper than anything shouted. And yet here we are, he said. You challenged me, because of the way I talk. A hush spread again. Obama leaned forward slightly. Maybe you understand more than you realize. Trump's jaw tightened. You know, people used to like me, he snapped. They saw what I was doing. Now they're scared because of lies people like you spread. Obama nodded once. Truth doesn't scare people, Donald. It just makes them uncomfortable. Somewhere in the hall, a lone voice shouted, say that again. Nervous laughter rippled out. Obama didn't repeat himself. He simply turned back to the moderator's screen, his calm like gravity, drawing the room toward him. Trump's anger only pushed people back. Online, social media was boiling. A journalist typed, "This isn't a debate. It's a mirror. And one side doesn't like its reflection." On the floor, another reporter whispered, "If this keeps up, Trump's going to implode before they hit the halfway mark." Trump leaned in again, louder, almost shouting, "You can't hide behind speeches, Barack. People want results." Obama looked at him evenly. "Results," he said, "are what people live with when the speeches end." The words drifted through the hall like smoke. The audience inhaled as one, silent, suspended, waiting. Then the next question appeared, and everything shifted. The debate stopped being about facts. It became a test of character. The screen lit up with, "What does true leadership look like in a time of crisis?" For a moment, no one spoke. Even Trump hesitated before leaning into the mic. "Leadership in crisis means taking charge," he declared. "You don't wait for perfect information. You act. You make the tough calls. You do what needs to be done, even if people don't like it." He puffed up slightly. "When I handled the pandemic, I made decisions, big ones. Maybe not popular, but they got results. That's leadership. You don't sit around reading reports. You move." He waited for applause. Only half the room delivered. The other half was watching Obama, who hadn't moved at all. Trump forced a smirk. "Barack loves talking about empathy and feelings, but when the world's burning, feelings don't save you. Action does." Obama finally lifted his eyes, slow, controlled. He adjusted the mic. "Leadership isn't action for its own sake," he said, "it's direction." The crowd stirred. "You can move fast and still go nowhere," he continued, voice cutting cleanly through the room. "In crisis, anyone can panic, anyone can make noise, but leadership," he paused, letting the weight settle, "means understanding that the people you serve are looking to you for more than orders. They're looking for steadiness." Trump cut him off, voice rising. "Steadiness doesn't feed people, Barack. Steadiness doesn't make deals or secure borders. I kept America first." Obama looked at him, unblinking. "And what happens when putting yourself first means leaving everyone else behind?" The question hit the room like a stone dropped into still water. You could almost feel the ripple. Obama let a breath pass, then continued, his voice low, but carrying to every corner of the hall. "I remember a night in 2011, he said. A group of advisors rushed into the Situation Room, late, urgent, that we were tracking something sensitive, something that could change everything. The audience leaned in. Even Trump stopped fidgeting. The facts were unclear." Obama continued, "Lives were in the balance. Everyone looked at me, waiting for a decision. The hall was silent. I remember thinking how easy it would be to act out of fear," Obama said softly, "to choose the loud option, instead of the right one. But leadership isn't about proving how decisive you can look. It's about protecting the people who'll pay the price if you're wrong." He glanced at the audience, then back at Trump. "So I told them we wait until we're sure." A beat. That night, waiting saved American lives. The realization spread across the room. He was talking about the operation that took down Osama bin Laden. A low murmur rolled through the crowd. Cameras zoomed in on Trump, whose expression had tightened. Obama went on, still calm, "Leadership isn't about how loud you shout when the world is watching. It's about the choices you make when no one is." Applause rose, soft at first, then swelling until it filled the entire auditorium. People stood, even a few in red caps clapped, slowly, reluctantly, but sincerely. Trump leaned into his mic, voice cracking. "So what? You're saying I don't know leadership? I built empires. I made millions believe in me. That's leadership." Obama didn't smile. "Leadership built on belief is fragile, when the truth catches up." The camera caught it perfectly. Trump blinking hard, lips parting like he was searching for words that wouldn't come. A stage producer whispered, "He's unraveling." Obama stepped forward, not to dominate, but to connect. "Look," he said, "we all lead something, our families, our teams, our communities, but real leadership starts with listening. If your ego is louder than the people you serve, you're not leading. You're performing." The crowd reacted, loudly. Phones lit up across the hall. Clips were already hitting Twitter. Hashtags like #3question meltdown and #professor-in-chief exploded within seconds. Trump tried to cut in again, his voice trembling. "You think being calm makes you right?" Obama turned his head toward him. "No," he said, simply, "but it helps me stay right." The line didn't just land, it detonated. The audience roared, not with mockery, But with awe, Trump glanced around, desperate, searching for backup that wasn't coming. Backstage, his team stood frozen. There was no script for what was happening. Obama didn't say another word. He let silence speak for him, the kind of silence that forces reflection, not retreat. Nearly a full minute passed before the moderator's light blinked, begging the crowd to quiet down, but the clapping didn't stop, even Trump. Supporters couldn't deny what they were witnessing. Calm intelligence dismantling fury in real time. Obama leaned toward his mic again. "You can talk about power all you want," he said quietly, "but history always remembers restraint." But what followed wasn't restraint, it was resistance. Trump wasn't finished, and the frustration that had been simmering beneath his words was about to boil over on live television. The moment the third question ended, the room shifted, something in the air tightened. Not excitement, but inevitability. Obama wasn't just winning on substance anymore. He had changed the emotional temperature of the room. People weren't responding to his answers, they were responding to his presence. Calm, composed, untouchable. Trump, meanwhile, was coming apart in slow motion. The tightening jaw, the death grip on the podium, the smirk degrading into a grimace. The next question flashed across the screen. What should be the role of truth in leadership? Trump lunged for the mic. "Truth is perspective," he snapped. "The media lies every day. People twist your words, and then you're the problem. That I tell the truth the way people live it. That I don't sugarcoat things like he does." He jabbed a finger toward Obama. "You were the master of polished lies. 8 years of speeches, and the country got weaker. That's the truth." A few clapped. It sounded thin, embarrassed. Even Obama waited, letting the words float, then fall, then fade. Finally, he leaned in. "Truth isn't about who shouts it the loudest," he said. "It's about who can stand behind it when no one's cheering." He let the silence breathe. If truth becomes whatever helps us in the moment, then it's not truth. It's marketing. A ripple of murmurs spread. Reporters began typing like their lives depended on it. "That's the quote of the night," someone whispered. Trump scoffed. "You sound like a professor again. People don't want lectures, they want results." Obama's smile was faint, but unmistakable. Results built on lies collapse faster, then applause fades. Trump flushed. "You think you're better than me?" Obama didn't waver. "I think leadership isn't about being better. It's about being responsible." The crowd erupted, loud enough that sound engineers panicked. Backstage, Victor Haynes paced violently, hands on his head. He looked at the others and muttered under his breath, "He's losing them. If he keeps talking over him, it's going to look desperate." But Trump couldn't stop. He cut in again, louder this time. "You had your chance, Barack. You failed. You let people down. And now you sit here pretending you're the wise man of politics. You left chaos behind." Obama let him finish, then said quietly, "And yet somehow, you still can't stop talking about me." The line hit like a velvet-wrapped hammer. Gasps. Laughter. Applause, all at once. The camera even caught a few people in the audience covering their mouths in shock. Trump's reaction was instant, a flicker of confusion turning into anger. He jabbed a finger across the stage. "You think this is funny?" Obama studied him for a moment. "No. I think it's sad that we've turned public service into theater." The hall froze. Trump tried to fire back, but his words tangled. You made it theater. You and your speeches. You and your followers." Obama didn't interrupt. He waited, letting silence become the strongest sound in the room. Finally, he said, "If people listen to me, it's because I talked about them. Not myself." That was the breaking point. The reaction exploded. Cheers, whistles, people rising to their feet. The camera swept across faces lit with shock, respect, even a kind of relief. For just a moment, the confidence drained from Trump's expression. He looked around like a man realizing he'd lost control of his own show. In the production booth, a director muttered, "We're witnessing history. He's being taken apart in real time." The next question flashed on the screen, but it didn't matter. The room had already shifted. Every time Trump raised his voice, the audience pulled back. Every time Obama spoke softly, they leaned in. Trump began pacing behind his podium. "You know what? The media's going to twist this anyway," he snapped. "They'll edit clips. They'll say Obama won. That's fine. I don't care. I've already done more for this country than anyone since Lincoln. Obama raised an eyebrow, almost amused. Then maybe history will be kinder than the facts. The crowd erupted, laughing, clapping, releasing months of tension in one thunderous wave. Trump slammed his palm against the podium. This is a setup. You all see it. Obama didn't move. He didn't have to. The contrast was unmistakable. One man shouting to be heard, the other commanding silence by simply standing still. I in the front row, a young reporter whispered, he's not answering questions. He's teaching a masterclass in composure. Social media was already on fire, clips of Trump interrupting, Obama pausing, headlines forming in real time. Obama outclasses Trump in unscripted exchange. Then the final question of the round appeared. What advice would you give the next generation of leaders watching tonight? Trump leaned in, sweat gathering under the lights. Don't listen to people like him, he snapped. Go big. Fight hard. Don't let anyone make you feel small. That's how you win. Obama waited for the noise to die. My advice, he said slowly, is to remember that winning isn't the same as leading. And sometimes, the loudest person in the room is the most afraid. Everything went still, even the camera crew froze. Obama didn't smile or push the moment. He simply added, leaders aren't remembered for how much noise they made. They're remembered for how much light they left behind. But the light in that room was still shifting. The next phase wouldn't just test pride, it would test both men in ways no script could predict. By the time the seventh question arrived, the debate wasn't a debate anymore. It was a reckoning. Trump's earlier swagger had melted into irritation, and irritation was sliding fast toward desperation. Obama stayed centered, absorbing every attack like rain sliding off glass. Then the next prompt came up in clean white letters, name one policy you stand by. Completely, one you defend under oath. A simple question, but it cut straight to the core of credibility. Trump leaned toward the mic again, his voice booming. Easy, he said. I stand by everything I did for the American economy. The stock market hit record highs, unemployment was down, energy independence was real. I brought manufacturing jobs back, everyone knows it. He turned toward the audience, spreading his hands wide as if sealing history with a gesture. The facts speak for themselves. Nobody did it better. Not Obama. Not Bush. Nobody. A pocket of applause rose from one corner of the room, but it fizzled quickly. Most people waited. They'd learned by now. Obama's silence usually meant something was coming. When Trump finally stepped back, Obama leaned in slightly. You said the facts speak for themselves, he began. So let's listen to them. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a folded sheet of paper, not a prop, worn, creased, clearly handled many times. He opened it slowly. During your term, Obama said, job growth averaged 1.3% a year. Under mine, it averaged 1.7. A ripple passed through the audience. Manufacturing jobs, you lost about 200,000. We added nearly 500,000. Trump's eyes flicked toward his team backstage. The murmurs grew louder. Obama continued, still calm, you said energy independence was your achievement. But the policies that led us there began in 2014, during my administration. Yours reversed most of them. Gasps rolled across the hall. Trump snapped back, jabbing a finger at him. That's fake. Those are fake numbers. You cherry-picked them. Obama didn't flinch. They're from your own Department of Labor, Donald. The audience reacted instantly, half laughter, half disbelief. Phones lifted across the room, social media ignited. Hashtag fact-check Obama, hashtag Trump cornered, hashtag Professor-in-Chief. Trump pushed forward, voice rising. You had 8 years of bureaucracy. I had 4 years of fighting lies. You can't compare that. Obama gave a small nod. You're right. We can't compare what wasn't done. That drew another wave of applause, sharper, louder. A few people stood. Trump's face darkened. You don't understand business. You never did. You were a politician your whole life. Obama tilted his head slightly. And you ran businesses your whole life, but still ended up bankrupt 6 times. So maybe we both know what learning from mistakes looks like. The crowd exploded. Even the press section couldn't stay quiet, cameramen visibly shaking as they tried to keep the shot steady. Trump tried to shout over the noise, you think this is funny? You think it's easy to stand up here with a rigged audience and biased cameras? Obama waited for the room to settle before speaking. "No," he said softly. "I think it's hard to lead when you mistake attention for respect." The silence that followed was total, even the air felt stilled. A voice in the upper rows called out, "Say it again." Obama didn't. That he didn't need to. The line had already etched itself into the moment. Backstage, Victor Haynes buried his face in his hands. "It's over," he murmured. He's not debating anymore, he's unraveling. On the split-screen broadcast, the contrast was brutal. One man red-faced and shouting, the other cool, steady, lowering the temperature with every sentence. The next question appeared automatically. "How do you define accountability in leadership?" Trump lunged for the mic. "Accountability. I'm here, aren't I? I show up. I take the heat. I don't hide behind committees and excuses like Obama does. People respect that." Obama nodded, as if acknowledging the claim. "Showing up matters," he said. "But accountability means owning what happens after you show up." He leaned slightly forward, looking straight at Trump. "When you say something that isn't true, and people believe it, that's not strength. It's a responsibility," Obama said quietly. "Because people are trusting you. And when that trust breaks, no speech, no tweet, no rally can glue it back together." For a full second, the room stayed still, then applause erupted from every direction. Even the moderators exchanged looks. Trump slapped his palm onto the podium again. "You're so self-righteous. You act like you never made a mistake." Obama didn't blink. "I made plenty. The difference is, I admitted them." The crowd clapped again, even louder. Trump's breathing grew shallow. He scanned the hall, searching for a friendly face. Even his loyal corner had gone quiet. Obama turned back to the audience, his tone gentler now. "Leaders aren't judged by how they handle success," he said. "They're judged by what they do when everything falls apart, and who they blame when it does." People rose to their feet. That it was the longest ovation of the night. You could see them mouthing, "Wow, this is history." Trump stood frozen, his hand hovering near the mic but refusing to commit. Obama drew one final breath. "The truth doesn't need defending," he said. "It just needs patience." But the room's patience with Trump was almost gone. He was about to lash out in a way that would define the night. By the time they reached the next question, something deeper had shifted. This wasn't about statistics anymore. It was now a portrait of two entirely different visions of power. Obama's presence carried quiet authority. Trump's carried heat, intense, unfocused, combustible. What began as political theater had turned raw, emotional, human. The next prompt appeared. "What does compassion mean in leadership?" Trump blew out a frustrated breath, gripping his podium. "Compassion is fine in theory," he began. "But it doesn't make a country strong. You can care all you want, but if people walk all over you, you lose. Leaders have to be tough. You can't let every sob story change your plans." He paused, waiting for cheers. There were some, but scattered, unsure. Trump kept going. "We had 8 years of soft talk and weakness. I came in, and the world respected America again. That's compassion, protecting your own. Putting your citizens first." He snapped his head toward Obama. "You cared more about how we looked to the world than how Americans were living. Just admit it." Obama lowered his gaze briefly, then lifted it. "I've never believed compassion and strength are opposites," he said softly. "Real strength isn't how much power you can hold. It's how much pain you can carry for others, without letting it break you." The hall fell silent. "I remember meeting a mother in Oklahoma," he continued. "A tornado had taken everything from her, her husband, her home, all her memories. She told me, 'Mr. President, I don't need promises. I just need to know someone still cares that we're here.'" He paused. "That's compassion. Not speeches. Not policies. Presence." Then he looked at Trump. "Compassion doesn't make you weak. It reminds you why you lead." The audience erupted, not just applause, emotion, cheers. Tears. A shift you could feel in your chest. Trump leaned into his mic, voice tight. "You're a great storyteller, Barack. But stories don't build nations. Action does." Obama didn't raise his voice. "Actions without empathy destroy nations faster. The sentence echoed through the hall like a slow drumbeat. Even reporters paused mid-tweet, unsure how to capture the shift unfolding in real time. A woman rose, clapped once, sat down quickly, others followed. Trump noticed and tried to counter. All this emotion is great TV, sure. But when I was in office, I actually got things done. People respected me, they still do. Obama's expression softened. Respect built on fear doesn't last, Donald. It disappears the moment people stop being afraid. A low murmur swept through the audience, a truth hitting harder than expected. Trump jabbed a finger across the stage. You always act like the moral compass. But you divided this country. Don't pretend you're some saint. I'm not a saint, Obama replied. I'm a man who learned that unity doesn't come from pretending we agree, that it comes from remembering we belong to the same story. That line shifted the room. No immediate applause, just absorption, then a wave of clapping that felt full, like people remembering something old, something shared. The cameras panned across faces, soft smiles, stunned expressions, eyes brimming. Trump shuffled behind his podium. Uneasy, that's the problem with you, he said. You make people feel instead of think. Obama met his gaze. Maybe that's exactly what we needed more of. Even the moderators were silent, only applause echoed faintly off the walls. Backstage, Victor Haynes rubbed his temples. He's not debating anymore, he muttered. He's preaching without preaching. And people are eating it up. A producer whispered, it's like Trump's yelling into the wind, and Obama's speaking straight to the room. Trump slammed his hand down on the podium again. This whole thing's staged, he barked. Half these people are Obama fans anyway. It's fake. Obama turned to the audience, ignoring the outburst. The truth doesn't need an audience, he said softly. It finds one on its own. Laughter mixed with applause. Some people stood off camera. Trump's team gestured frantically, trying to get his attention. He waved them off, face glistening under the lights, voice cracking slightly. You think you're so calm, so perfect, but people are tired of your smooth talk. They want results. Obama's eyes didn't waver. Results are what people live through after leadership is gone, he said. That's why words matter, they're what last. Trump scoffed, shaking his head. You and your speeches, you really believe all that, don't you? Obama gave a small nod. Every word landed. The crowd stood again. This wasn't just admiration. It was release. Years of division, frustration, and exhaustion meeting a reminder of something simpler, grace. Even those who disagreed couldn't deny it. Obama wasn't debating anymore. He was embodying something else entirely. Stillness under pressure, clarity in the noise. Trump looked across the audience, jaw tight. The cheers weren't for him anymore. He knew it. On social media, clips spread faster than anchors could narrate them. Tweets read, Obama's calm is unreal. Trump just met silence. This is what leadership sounds like. The energy had flipped completely. The man who came to dominate the room was now fighting just to stay in it, and while Obama's composure was winning hearts, the aftermath of that calm, what happened once the cameras stopped, would echo far beyond the debate stage. The night ended without fanfare. No handshake. No forced smiles. No closing statements. Cameras slowly panned out as the two men exited from opposite sides. The crowd remained stunned, unsure whether to cheer or stay silent. Then, as if on cue, the applause began, not for spectacle, but for the sense of history unfolding. Obama didn't pause for interviews. He walked quietly down the narrow backstage corridor. Secret Service flanked him. Stagehands gave small nods. He nodded back, calm, almost reflective. When a producer asked if he wanted to address the press outside, he simply said, no need. The country just watched what it needed to see. He slipped through a side exit into the cool Washington night. A black SUV waited, engine running. The crowd's echoes drifted faintly. Obama looked at the streetlights, exhaling, a faint smile tracing his face. Inside the hall, the atmosphere was transformed. Trump's team was in chaos. Victor Haynes paced with a phone pressed to his ear. No, don't spin it yet. We need clips, cut the interruptions. Focus on the sound bites where he hits back. Make it look strong. Trump sat in the green room, jacket off, tie loosened, staring at the muted television replay. His reflection looked unfamiliar, tired, almost uncertain. They edited that wrong, he muttered. That applause wasn't real. They rigged the audience. Victor hesitated. Sir, it's live, Trump said, eyes narrowing. Then the cameras are fake. The crowd is fake, something's off. Victor tried again. Sir, it's not the crowd, it's the contrast, Trump interrupted. The word hung in the air like smoke. Outside, reporters swarmed the press area, shouting questions into microphones. Is this the end of Trump's dominance? Has Obama redefined political discourse? What comes next after this historic face-off? Every network lined up panels within minutes. Clips of Obama's calm responses versus Trump's interruptions played on loop. Obama didn't just debate him, one MSNBC analyst said. He deconstructed him, admitted a Fox commentator reluctantly. Even for Trump's base, that was hard to watch. By midnight, hashtags like Obama owned the stage, third question meltdown, and leadership is calm dominated social media. TikTok users remixed Obama's one-liners over dramatic music. Memes flooded feeds, Trump shouting while Obama stood still, captioned when you bring a mic to a chess match. Even online, reactions weren't uniform. Some Trump supporters defended him passionately. He was fiery. He showed strength, but even those comments felt defensive, uncertain. For the first time in years, the narrative didn't belong to Trump. At a diner in Kansas City, the TV replayed highlights. Patrons leaned forward, forks paused midair. He looks mad, one man muttered. Didn't even flinch, a woman replied softly. The calm, like he'd been waiting years to say all that, without raising his voice once. In homes across the country, families watched together. Parents explained who Obama was and why this moment mattered. It wasn't about parties anymore. It was about tone. Decency. What leadership should feel like. Trump's staff scrambled. They posted a midnight message. We crushed the fake debate tonight. Obama is all talk. Real America knows the truth. It didn't trend. Not this time. Cable reruns aired through the night. By morning, Obama's closing words, leaders aren't remembered for how much noise they made, they're remembered for how much light they left behind, had been replayed over 200 times. Even conservative anchors quoted it, grudgingly acknowledging its weight. At 6 a.m., Obama's team released a single statement: leadership is service. The rest speaks for itself. No press conference. No victory lap. Just that one sentence. By contrast, Trump called into a morning show, voice tired but defiant. The whole thing was a setup, he said. The questions were slanted, the lights were bad, and Obama rehearsed those lines. Nobody could have won against that. The host didn't take the bait. Maybe, they replied, the issue wasn't the lighting. Mr. Trump, maybe it was the listening. The clip went viral before the night had even ended in Washington. Opinion pieces flooded news outlets. The Atlantic ran a 90-minute feature titled America Remembered What Composure Under Pressure Looks Like. Politico declared the debate didn't just shift perceptions, it reopened the conversation about leadership itself. Even international media treated it like a global event. In London, a newspaper headline read, Obama reminds America who still owns the room. In Los Angeles, a group of college students watched the replay on a projector, debating its meaning. You think it changes anything? One asked. His friend shrugged. Maybe not today. But people felt something tonight. That's how change starts, when someone reminds you what truth sounds like. Back in D.C., Obama sat by the window of his hotel suite. Lights dim, the city quiet. His phone buzzed with messages, praise, analysis, congratulations. He ignored them, staring out at the skyline. Grace wins slow, he whispered to himself. But it wins. He turned off the light. As the sun rose over Washington, it became clear this wasn't just a viral moment. What happened on that stage had reopened a question America hadn't asked itself in years. What kind of leader do we really want? Morning came slowly over the city. It wasn't its usual restless self, It felt as if it were recovering from something unnamed. Newsstands sold out before noon. Every front page carried the same image: Trump frozen mid-sentence, Obama standing still, almost serene. The Washington Post headline read, "A debate becomes a defining moment." Cable networks replayed highlights endlessly. Every outlet, left, right, center, was forced to admit it: Obama hadn't just outperformed Trump, he had dismantled the spectacle itself. His calmness became the story. In diners, offices, classrooms, the conversation replayed, "What happened last night?" Some said Trump had finally met someone he couldn't overpower. Others said Obama reminded the country what composure looks like in a storm. Whatever it was, people felt it. It wasn't politics anymore, it was tone, truth, the power of silence. In a cafe in Phoenix, an older man sipped his coffee and said to the stranger beside him, "It wasn't what he said, it's how he said it." The man didn't flinch once. The stranger nodded. Yeah. For once, it felt like someone was thinking before talking. In Cincinnati, a mother driving her teenage son to school caught a replay on the car radio. Half listening, he asked, "Why is everyone talking about that debate?" She smiled faintly. Because one man yelled, and the other didn't have to. Even those long tuned out of politics couldn't ignore what they'd seen. For years, volume equated to strength, anger to certainty, arrogance to authority. That night, something cracked open in the collective consciousness. People remembered, steadiness isn't weakness. Humility isn't submission. Truth doesn't need to shout to be heard. By afternoon, late-night comedians rewrote their monologues, journalists adjusted headlines, and political analysts revised theories. Yet beyond the noise, something quieter lingered, a national pause. Obama stayed out of the spotlight. No tweets, no interviews. When a friend called to ask how he felt, he reportedly laughed softly, "I didn't go there to win." That line would later circulate on social media, paired with clips of his debate moments, the way he let silence speak, the way he chose precision over performance. Meanwhile, in Mar-a-Lago, Trump scrolled through headlines calling the night a master class in composure. Angry, defensive, defiant posts went out, but none gained traction. For the first time, his noise didn't work. Victor Haynes, sitting in a corner with a buzzing phone, muttered quietly, "Sometimes you can't talk over a mirror." Trump didn't reply. He just kept scrolling. By evening, networks aired public reactions. A teacher in Portland said her students noticed that Obama listened, even when he disagreed. A firefighter in Dallas told a reporter, "You don't have to like him to respect that calm. He didn't need to prove he was tough. He just was." Even conservative critics acknowledged it. Last night, wrote one columnist, composure defeated chaos, not politics, but because grace still matters. The world had turned a corner. Not because one man won, but because millions were reminded what leadership could sound like when it wasn't drowned in ego. That night, a debate clip hit 100 million views online. The moment Obama said, "Leaders aren't remembered for how much noise they made, they're remembered for how much light they left behind," was stitched with footage of past presidents addressing crises: Kennedy, Reagan, Bush. The caption read, "Leadership is not performance. It's presence." Across living rooms, offices, and screens, people watched quietly. Some smiled, some teared up, some just stared, realizing they'd forgotten what composure looked like. That night, PBS aired the words again. The anchor closed. "In a time when shouting is currency, silence has become rare and priceless." The message wasn't about politics. It was about human need, steadiness when the world spins too fast, understanding that true power isn't winning arguments, it's staying grounded when the other side loses control. Weeks later, poll numbers shifted slightly, but the real change was cultural, in tone, in media, in classrooms, in how people debated online. Some called it the third question effect, the night America remembered that restraint can defeat rage. In his next public appearance, addressing college students in Philadelphia, Obama didn't reference the debate directly. But his closing words echoed that night: "Leadership isn't about how many people listen to you. It's about how many people you make stop and think." It's about building before you destroy, guiding before you react. You don't need to be perfect, just steady. The world has enough noise. What it needs now is grace. The crowd stood and clapped, not out of nostalgia, but recognition. They had seen Grace under pressure, and they wouldn't forget it. History doesn't remember the volume of a man's voice. It remembers the weight of his silence. That if this story reminded you that calm doesn't mean weak, and that truth doesn't need to shout to be heard, subscribe, stay with us, and remember, real strength never needs a stage.